name is Richard Tindall. I was in ETR 2. So when I went on board the ship, USS Enterprise, first of all, I'm not in a dress uniform. So the officer of the day, on a destroyer, the officer of the day is like lieutenant, junior grade, or an ensign. On an aircraft carrier, it's a full commander or a captain. So I'm looking at this full commander who would have been the captain on the destroyer. And he's like, "Who are you and what are you doing here and where the hell's your uniform?" I'm like, well, I pull out my little piece of paper. I did have my ID at least, you know, I had my wallet with me. Gave him that whole story, and he's like, whatever. So they put me in the transit barracks on the ship, and I didn't have access to any of the controlled spaces, which as an ET I would, but since I didn't have a service record, I don't have a clearance. So I didn't know where I was specifically on the ship until the next morning. It's probably 5:30 in the morning. I'm pretty much fast asleep. I kind of hear this little whiny sound. And then boom! Like a truck crashed into, all right? It turns out that I'm under wire number 3 and they're recovering aircraft. After that, when I heard the little whine, I knew what to expect. But the first time it was jolting. So anyway, after a couple of days, we went out to sea. We headed toward I-Corps. It turns out that the Epperson was not going to be operating with the Enterprise per se. In other words, we wouldn't be doing plane guard for them. We were doing what was called NGFS, which is Naval Gunfire Support. You sit about 3 miles off the coast and lob shells into wherever they tell you to lob shells, 5-inch shells. So I begged this guy, one of the ETs, he got me into CIC, which is the Combat Information Center. They took me over to the ops officer, tried to explain to him who I was and why I was there. Basically had to go through the whole story again, and he showed him my little message, which by now was kind of tattered, but at any rate, he goes, well, he says, we're going to be doing a holy helo tomorrow, maybe I could get you on that. I'm like, okay, that would be nice, but for now, you got to get out of here, you know, and don't tell anybody we talked, okay? So the next morning, I go and find my ET friend, and he checks, and they put me down on the flight deck. Off to one side, I'm not actually out on the flight deck, but basically where all the mailbags were. And sure enough, they come to get the mailbags, and they go, "Come on, you're going too." Put me on a helicopter. Took me out. They were pretty much at the end of their run. They have not seen the Epperson yet. I was like begging him to, you know, maybe you could look around a little more. Maybe they're over there. And then the co-pilot goes, "Hey, what about that?" And sure enough, it was my ship. So they radioed my ship. They told people on the ship that they had an important package. They really weren't allowed to say what they were doing specifically. So they went over the ship, put a harness on me, and dropped me down. And I actually got a picture going down, because kind of heavy, and the cable was kind of unwinding. So I had to kind of time it 1, 2, and then the third time around I took the picture. And it's basically of all these people on the back part of the ship looking up at, that's our important package? So I got back aboard my ship. It was kind of interesting, the Enterprise, in that it was kind of like a destroyer being a small town and the Enterprise being a city. It just was really different. It gave me an appreciation for being on a destroyer. I was more comfortable with that.